Welcome to Catholic Views. I'm your host, not Renae Crank. She is taking some much-needed time off, and I'm going to fill in for her. I'm Casey Bassett. I'm another communications team member here. She'll be back later on. She's going to talk to Sarah Vetch of the Lord's Center about a very interesting topic, gaming, how it affects relationships especially, and human flourishing, something that's very applicable today, I think, given the gaming climate and the increase in gaming and whatnot. But first, Biblical Bites with Dr. B.
So, Casey, have you seen the interview yet?
I have not.
Oh, shoot. So I can't ask you a question because I'm really interested. Was this like...
I've watched bits and pieces, but I haven't watched
Is it gaming, like video gaming, or gaming like gambling gaming?
No, I think it's specifically around video gaming. But that actually covers a lot more than I kind of thought. So it's an interesting... Check it out.
All right. Well, I will have to stick around after Biblical Bites, too. So, Casey, as you know from sitting in Elisa's chair for many, many months, my first question to Renae, what Sunday are we in?
33rd.
33rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. One more Sunday in Ordinary Time. 2 weeks in the church year to go before we get to Advent. So I mentioned last week that there's now these last few Sundays of the church year, the readings for Sunday Mass, but also daily Mass, sort of turn towards things apocalyptic.
Sure.
In some cases, end of the world. Mm-hmm. In other cases, end of eras. So the gospel reading today is from Luke 21, 5 through 19. And it begins this way. Well, some people were speaking about how the temple was adorned with costly stones and votive offerings. Jesus said, all that you see here, the days will come when there will not be left a stone upon another stone that will not be thrown down. So Jesus here has been teaching in the temple, and now he's teaching about the temple. And he's prophesying the destruction of the temple, which would happen some 40 years later in 70 AD. The Romans come because the Jews later on go into more open revolt against. We read in the Gospels, like the Zealots. Yep. They're the sort of basically the insurrectionists of Jesus' day. Jews who are like, we got to literally fight against the Romans to kick them out because they shouldn't be here. This is holy land. What are these pagan Gentiles? Blah blah blah. But they sort of like, they're a small minority. Well, later, there are some other messianic pretenders. I'm the Messiah. Let's go cast out the Romans. The Romans, I mean, this is the greatest military power in at the time. Yes. They come along and they quash the rebellion and they destroy Jerusalem. They destroy the temple. So Jesus here is speaking about, at the beginning of Luke chapter 21, he's speaking about the destruction of the temple. He's prophesying. In fact, he prophesied so effectively that as those events were unfolding, the Christians of the time in the late 60s thought of Jesus's words.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they actually fled to modern day Jordan. So across the Jordan River, they recognized literally. So we know from Josephus that some of the things, and we don't have time to get into it because I want to get back to the first reading, but some of the things that Jesus speaks about, signs in the skies, various things in the skies, plagues, these things happened in the years and decades leading up to the destruction of Jerusalem. So Christians reading the signs of the times, remembering what Jesus said in the temple, like, stuff's going to go down, we better get out of here. And so most Christians in Jerusalem, obviously Jewish Christians at the time, fled Jerusalem, went across the Jordan River to modern day Jordan, and avoided the destruction, being killed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's fascinating of itself because Josephus, the Jewish historian, tells us about a lot of things that were happening. Like, it's exactly what we read about in the gospel. So there's that. So again, turning to the end of the destruction of the temple is a big deal for the Jewish people. It's remained a big deal because they can't offer sacrifice now. So this apocalyptic turn, if you will, either the end of time or the end of an era. I want to go back, though, to Malachi, which is where the first reading comes from. So Malachi is living and prophesying Old Testament era at the time leading up to, so it's the divided kingdom. It's leading up to another apocalyptic time when the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes in the north, would be taken into exile by the Assyrians, I think.
Okay.
So he's living sort of before that happens and then after that happens. So the first reading for Mass today comes from Malachi 3. And it begins, lo, the day is coming. I mean, it's got the New American, lo, the day is coming. Blazing like an oven, when all the proud and all evildoers will be stubble. And the day that is coming will set them on fire, leaving them neither root nor branch, says the Lord of hosts. But for you who fear my name, there will arise the Sun of Justice with its healing rays. So I love the reading because it begins with "lo." So often when I go to Mass, I hope that the lector really, just this reading, and I love this. I know that I can be proud and I can do evil, and I know that I desire to be purified of my pride and the evil that I have done. But I also fear the name of the Lord. And I love, for you who fear my name, there will arise the Sun of Justice, S-U-N, like the image of the sun. Okay. The Sun of Justice with healing rays. So this is looking to what's coming now with the looming exile, which is awful for those Israelites who are exiled. But it's also looking to Jesus' first coming, when he comes, because there arise the Sun of Justice with its healing rays. Jesus is going to come with his healing rays. And this is also looking ultimately to the end of time. So we get these multi-layered meanings of these passages. I love this time of the year.
Wow, great. Very insightful. Thanks, Dr. B.
You bet.